What? There we go. Can't tell if anyone's on. Hey, Rose, can you hear me? Uh-oh, there's a delay. Can anyone hear me? There's a big delay. All right, hold on. Oh, you can't see that either, can you? This is not going to work. Shoot. Can you see the picture? It's too bright, isn't it? Okay, I'm just going to start. I want to thank Rolis, I hope they're saying your name correctly, and Laura for showing up. Hopefully other people will come. That's cool. This is my first broadcast, and it's called Finding Your Voice, Episode 1, and it's about responsibility. This is my favorite quote. It's actually a misquote. It's attributed to Albert Einstein, but apparently he didn't say it. So I'm gonna have to get used to this delay. It's really weird. So, anyways, since we're gonna be talking about responsibility, okay, so the moral of the story is don't be a fish trying to climb a tree. So sorry for the delay. I'm trying to get used to it. I'll get used to it. Also, the reason for these captions and things here is that I couldn't figure out, uh-oh, that's upside down. and it's upside down. Great. So anyways, don't be a fish trying to climb up a tree. And I'm going to have to talk to professionals because I'm talking on my screen and delayed, and now I'm trying to talk to you. So anyways, don't be a fish trying to climb up a tree. And then I wanted to start off obviously not right away, but with a moment of silence. And so we can pray and acknowledge people that, you know what, I'm going to take out my earplugs. So anyway, the, I would like to start off with a moment of silence for people that have passed or need our prayers. One person right now who really needs our prayers, if you're in Growth Academy, Ellie Red Cloud was in an accident. She's supposed to get out of the hospital today. But I can't see the text. Okay, Michael, I'll work on that. And I'll read it too. Apparently, if it stays there a long time. Anyways, let's take 15 seconds silence and think of people that have recently passed or need our prayers or whatever you consider deep thoughts or whatever. So I'm going to be considering Ellie Red Cloud and some of my family. And so here's the 15 seconds. Okay, thank you all for doing that. I think that's important to always consider people. And then Michael from Portugal, thanks for coming. I thought you were going to be able to make it because you're with your kids. Are you touching your kids, sir? No, anyway, he said you can't really see this. I think if I hold it steady for a little bit. So this is going to be, since this is my third broadcast, I'm seeing like this, what this says, if you can't read it, it says, why listen to me? And there are basically two reasons. Sorry for looking down on that. So there's a saying, I am a jack of all trades, master of none. I'm actually a mark of all trades and master of some. And more importantly, I am not you. So we're all different. We can all learn from each other. You from me, I from you. So for the purposes of this, obviously, since it's just me as a talking head, you're gonna learn from me, hopefully. You'll either go, aha, that was really interesting, Mark, or that means nothing to me, or whatever. But hopefully there's some value and you can read that. Anyways, and that doesn't mean that's not to be sarcastic or mean. It's just I think we can learn something from everyone. And so since you listen to me, hopefully you can learn from me. No conceit or anything. All right. So there's supposed to be a caption, but I really don't know how to use Restream yet. So I'm gonna have to talk to Rollis maybe. So my email is eocstudio@gmail.com. So if you have any questions about anything I say today, or you need to ask me questions, make a comment, anything like that, any helpful hints I'll take too. Just email me at eocstudio@gmail.com. So there's an interesting story. Well, as always, interest is in the eye of the beholder. So I think it's an interesting story. So the interesting story behind the EOC studio is it is actually a reflection of one of the worst case scenarios in my lifetime. One of my mark of all trades things is I was an actor. I directed movies. I wrote movies. About, I think it's 10 years now. 10 years. I had a full-length feature film in the can. So in the can, what in the can means is all the principal photography is complete, and all it needed was editing, music, etc. And in the case of trusting the wrong person, I saw that I had a weakness in editing, and so I engaged with someone that someone said was good, but I kind of had a weird feeling about her. Anyways, I gave her all the principal photography, and what she did is she edited she filmed over some of my things, and then she dumped some of them on a hard drive, and the hard drive got lost. So I've actually lost some film. So sometime in my future, I'm going to go back and actually edit that film. I think I'm going to make it like American Movie, which if you have not seen yet, it's an awesome movie. It's probably like 20 years old, but it's about this kid and his best friend, and they're making a horror movie called The Coven in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and it's a documentary about them making a film, and it's unintentionally hilarious, and intentionally, I think the documentarian actually thought it's gonna be funny. Anyways, I'm rambling, but that's EOC Studio was the company that I did that under. So, and then it's now going to be my umbrella name and email for anything I do based on LinkedIn. By the way, this microphone here, that's a dummy microphone right now because the reason my video is so good, I did get my camera. I got this really cool microphone, which I'll use later. Once I have the camera, then I can go to my better computer. Right now, I'm just using standard computer camera and the microphone. So anyway, that's enough about that. So let's get on to the subject. So the subject today is responsibility. So there's basically two motivators, primary motivators in everyone's life. It's what's going on in your inner world and yourself, and all the outside influences and others impacting you, what they say about you, how they judge, how they teach, how you learn from them. And so basically, there's others and then yourself. Let's see if you can see that. So, by the way, I'm going to add graphics once I figure that out. So that's kind of the concept there. And then just to bring physics in, because you should always have some laws of physics just for fun. So the Newton's third law is that for every action, there's an equal but opposite reaction. So reaction is just reacting to the circumstances around your life. So like if you're a cork in the ocean and a wave goes one way, then you're going to go with that wave because you're a cork and you're going to move. So that's kind of how we're going to take the concept of reaction. Now, you want to flip the script. So flipping the script and changing reaction to responsibility. Now, if you wait a second, I'm going to talk about a different definition of responsibility, but really and truly, so we're going to go from reaction to responsibility. Reaction, like in the Newton's third law, is a law of the universe. So we really can't oppose that. That just happens. By the way, that's the oversimplification of the law. The law actually means for any force exerted on an object, there's an equal and opposite force as in a reaction. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. For this, we're going to talk about responsibility. And so much for keeping things at the fourth grade level, like Shanae Moray told me to do. I'm not very good at that. So anyways, I'll just keep going. So basically, when I'm talking about responsibility, I'm going to change the definition. So it's just a mindset. Mindset is important. Your inner world creates your outer world. So you have a choice in the matter, and we'll talk about that in a second. A lot of people consider responsibility a burden. Like many parents go, oh, I had kids and I have to do this. Or they putting food on the table. It's like, I have to do this job in order to put food on the table for my kids and all that kind of stuff. And they look at it as a burden. Or in actuality, then there's on the flip side, in actuality, there's other people who are parents and they just love it. It's like, you know what? I love my kids. Yeah, I have to work to put food on my table, but my primary motivation is to give them a better life than I have. And so they change that into power. So responsibility becomes less of a burden and more of like a power to motivate you and move forward. So I'm just trying to talk about mindset, changing burden to power. So for the purposes of that, I'm going to redefine what responsibility is. So for the purposes of the definition for change in mindset, I'm talking about responsibility equals your ability to choose your response. So just think of your life if you lived your life that way. So something would happen and then usually you'd react to it. But if you chose your response, then just think of the power you would have in that. So some of you may be asking, hey, the series is called Finding Your Voice. What does responsibility have to do with finding your voice? By the way, that is an excellent question. So in order to find your voice, you need to be you in the world, like your true self. the self-motivation, self-driven, self-defining, all that kind of stuff. I'm not talking about a narcissistic kind of way. I'm talking about you define yourself, and in that, finding your voice, you drive and you impact the world. So, like I always say, probably on 90% of my posts in LinkedIn, I say living your best life creates a better world for everyone. And I truly believe that. And I believe the key for living your best life is finding your voice. And one of the key factors within finding your voice is responsibility. So there, I gave you a tertiary relationship, and you're all going, what is this, a physics class? No, it's not. So anyways, responsibility equals your ability to choose your response. I should probably talk about that a little more. So just when you take responsibility, this is a mindset. So Newton's third law is actually a law of the universe. Every time you exert force on something, an object, it will, there will be an opposite and equal force. They might look different, but together, if you're measuring the force, however you measure the force, it's the same. So, when I'm talking about responsibility here, I'm just talking about the mindset. So mindset, but, oh, thanks, Dave. I just saw your thing. This is so weird, this delay. Yes, and I will say it's so weird, this delay, 20 times just to make my 15-minute speech into a half an hour. No, okay. Now back to that. So let's give some examples of people who really live that mindset of choosing how they respond to the world. So some examples are, and suicide and depression are deep clinical illnesses, and I'm not making light of that, but I think a lot of them result in catastrophe, and in these two cases I give here, they resulted in death, like end of life, and it's because of how they reacted instead of responded. So Michael J. Fox and Robin Williams, I don't know if you know this, but they both had Parkinson's. Let me do Robin Williams first because it's sad. So Robin Williams, it is believed, I'm not a friend of his, I don't have privy to his psychology records or anything like that, but what I've read and the result of suicide, he had Parkinson's and he was in the early stages, and he just got really depressed because of Parkinson's. I don't know if you know what Parkinson's is, but basically it's things happen in your brain, in your body, and some what they call involuntary actions like breathing, body movement, things like that kind of go wacky and you have no control of them. And almost every person who has Parkinson's, it actually displays differently to the world. But the brain, your thinking and all that, you don't lose that capacity. And if you know Robin Williams at all, the man was like a quick thinker, and he, like, things would come in his mouth. He was hysterical. He was a great actor. I mean, I miss him. He was one of my favorite actors, comedians of all time. Now, Michael J. Fox also has Parkinson's. And what did he do? He still acts. He wrote. He started a foundation for Parkinson's. He's used his fame and fortune to look at various things and actually how to maybe cure Parkinson's or make Parkinson's better, making Parkinson people who have Parkinson's, that doesn't make sense, making people who have Parkinson's life better as the disease progresses. That's what he's done. So he would be, in my opinion, the way I'm talking about this mindset, he has responsibility, and he chose not to react. He chose to respond. I don't know if you know the story. It's one of my favorite stories of all time and all history. But Raoul Amundsen versus Robert Falcon Scott. Those names sound familiar to you? Both of them are leaders of two teams that went to the South Pole with really diverse consequences and results. So I'll use Robert first, because Robert Falcon Scott is an example of reaction. So obviously, South Pole is very cold. It's a very harsh environment, all that kind of stuff. So his strategy of his team was to take twice as many supplies as they needed, two to three times, I can't remember exactly, but they knew how much time would take if there was perfect weather or perfect conditions, and they just multiplied that by 3. And then their strategy for their daily trips was they would react to the environment. So if it was a blizzard and windy, they wouldn't do anything that day. They wouldn't march at all. And if it was really nice, they would go as far as they can go to the point of exhaustion and just keep going. Raoul Amundsen, on the other hand, said, okay, we know it's this many miles from our starting point to the end point and back. So what we're going to do is we're going to go 20 miles a day, no matter what the conditions are. 20, and there's great stories about the 20-mile march. There's a book I'll recommend later. It's about, well, I'll talk about it later. But anyways, Raoul Amundsen brought 1.5 times the supplies he thought he needed for this 20-mile thing. And then every single day, no matter what the conditions, they went 20 miles. Now, some days they only made it 15, but their goal was 20, and it wasn't no matter what the conditions. So Robert Falcon Scott's team, what they reacted to the weather conditions, and then they would, on a bad day, they would stay in and do nothing. And then on a good day, they would go to the point of exhaustion as far as they can go. Raoul Amundsen's team, 15 to 20 miles, the goal being 20 miles every day, no matter what the conditions. And then the results are kind of sad. So Raoul Amundsen's team made it in a little over the time they planned for. They made it there and back. And then when they got back to home camp, or base camp, home camp. When they got back to base camp, they found out that Robert Falcon Scott's team hadn't been heard from. They didn't know where they were. And so Raoul Amundsen's team, I'm not sure if all of Raoul Amundsen's team went, but they went in search for Robert Falcon Scott, and they found them all dead. So Raoul Amundsen took responsibility. He had choice in the matter. He took a good, now this is a mindset, remember, it's not reality, it's a mindset. They took the responsibility of mindset, and they chose to go 20 miles a day and keep going. And then Robert Falcon Scott's team did the, whatever the conditions are. So they reacted, and they all died. I would like to liken this. I know he's not on, but Chris Hummel gave me a 90-day challenge to post every day for 90 days on LinkedIn. I'm thinking about almost halfway through, not quite. I haven't done my post today because I was trying to prepare for this. Some of you going, you actually prepared for this? This is horrible. No, I'm doing okay. Anyway, I'll get better. This is my first one. So, but he gave me the 90-day challenge, and I'm about halfway through. So that's my 20-mile march right now with LinkedIn, is every day do a post. Now, I'm going to probably have another 20-mile march. You can have as many 20-mile marches as you have time for. So the 90-day challenge, and then I'm going to add to that video, and obviously LinkedIn Live. So LinkedIn Live, probably going to do this series probably once a week. I'm going to do a poll to all my things to see when the best time is. Like I have people in Ireland. Hey, Dave. I have people in Nigeria. I have people in Russia. LinkedIn's amazing. I don't know how many countries I have friends in, but it's got to be at least 10. And then I'm very active in Tribu Power. I'm very active in Tribu Power as well, which, if you don't know, it's just Growth Academy in Spanish. But Ana Romero, the leader of that group, is as awesome as Shani Monet and whatever. And then just a shout out to Michelle, who's on here, Michelle Hula. I never say her name correctly, even though we're friends. But I want to give a shout out to her. She's involved in a group, I think it's called Women in Lean. And so that's kind of her the way she surrounds herself. So whatever you're going to do, find a group that you can surround yourself that's going to support you, that's going to challenge you, and all those things. And by the way, that is part of responsibility. It's like, hey, you know what? Sometimes my internal world is not strong enough. I don't have the willpower, so lean on others. That's okay. I always learn from others. Just like said at the beginning, Mark of all trades, master of some. So yeah, master of some, but there's a lot more that I'm not the master of than I am. Anyway, so this goes down. So it is your choice. Now, there may be some therapists, and I'm an ex-therapist. Wow, my hair looks terrible. Anyway, so a reactor is kind of the victim mentality. and I don't mean this in the legal sense, but I mean in that your choice is outside of yourself. So you react like the cork in an ocean. The ocean just impacts you, and do it. Yeah, I got Michelle's name right. Yay! Cool. Yeah, yeah. I love her. She's awesome. Anyways, so reactor, you're a victim, so you're subject to all the outside forces. So whatever forces are out there really define who you are, what you do, what you accomplish. So it's not a really powerful position to be in. And by the way, I mean these are my definitions, reactor. So and then responder, by the definition of me, where you have the ability to choose how you respond. That is where the power is. So any given situation, I'll use parenting. So I used to be a family therapist, and I actually specialized, if you want to call it that, in sexually abused children. And even in that, you had to get to the core of the problem. You had to make them see it wasn't their fault, and that the person doing this, they didn't have a right to do this. And I was kind of saying that there's power in that. So the responder just getting the power is, so that's an extreme sexual abuse. It's actually not where I want to go. It's kind of a side. Sometimes that happens. That's the way my brain works. But I wanted to talk about parenting. So your parents or the people that raised you, they created your psychological buttons. So guess what? Just in them being themselves, they're going to push your buttons again and again and again, even if they don't intend to. And I would assert that 99% of parents out there don't want to push your buttons, but just by the mere fact that they created them, then just by them being them, they're going to push them. So this is great example where responsibility comes in. So your ability to choose how you respond, it's like, get your parents love you, get that they're trying to help you. Most parents, there's exceptions like the exception I gave before, but so there's power in feeling the love and loving your parents back if you don't respond to the buttons they push. And since they created them, it's psychologically and emotionally, you just want to go to the bad place. So I'll give an example. My mom, who I love more than anything, she died 2 years ago. It wasn't until, I'm going to say 20 years ago. I mean, I always loved her, thought she was a hoot and a holler, loved hanging out with her. But till about 20 years ago, she would just push my buttons, and then it would ruin whatever we're doing. So we'd be going to a movie, she'd push one of my buttons, and then the rest of the evening would be blown. That's on me, not on her. So around 20 years ago, I don't know what happened, but I accepted it's like, oh, you know what? She doesn't intend that. She's just being my mom. And because she created my buttons, just by her being her, she's pushing my buttons. But I'm not going to let it do anything. I'm just going to have a good time. I love my mom. She's one of the greatest people I've ever known. And so just the last 20 years, this is going to sound conceited, but oh well, I think I had the best relationship with my mom. I mean, I took her to Hamilton. We did the 75th birthday thing where I took her to Chicago. We spent the whole day. That's like, that day is probably going to be the subject of a future scene. But anyways, so the point here, as I rambled on, is it is your choice. You can either react to all the influences outside of you and circumstances, or you can choose your response. And there's power in that. So part of finding your voice is to be responsible for you. So I don't believe you can find your voice if you're in reaction mode. The way you find it is you make a choice and you're going, I don't really want to react negatively in this situation. This is what I want out of this. I want a strong relationship. We'll keep going with my mom. I want a strong relationship with my mom. And so I'm going to choose to respond. And in that relationship, since she's half of my personality, I started to find my voice. So that's kind of an aha for me. So the question then becomes, which will you choose? You want to be a reactor and you want to be a responder. Now, guess what? Even me, who have and someone, I think Rollis, I hope I'm saying your name correctly, by the way. Um, even Rollis brought up that I think Stephen Covey, I can't see the comments anymore. I think he said Stephen Covey had this concept. Yeah, Stephen Covey, it's neuro-linguistic programming. The book Frogs into Princes, it deals with this concept. I believe Tony Robbins, almost every book he has deals with this concept. I want to say, oh my God, I can't remember his name. Oh crap. Anyways, I think the book is called The Meaning in Life, and I should know this because my ancestors survived the Holocaust on one side, pogroms on the other side. God. Anyways, it's a great book, and I'll post it somewhere when I think of it. It's going to be on the tip of my brain. If I go look at my library, it's going to be like the first book on the top shelf. And I've read it probably 10 times. How embarrassing. Anyways, in that book, basically, this man is a Holocaust survivor, and he talks about how he found meaning in his life, even in that horrible instance where everybody around him was being killed by Nazis, and he survived, and he's still in writing that book. Probably, I'm guessing 10 years after his experience, even 10 years after, he still questions like, so why did I make it, and why they not? And he attributed to him finding meaning in life as one of the reasons. So, anyways, just think if you can choose how you respond in a situation like that, the Holocaust, where people all around you have you captured, they don't beat you, they beat you, they kill you, they gas you, and all that stuff. If someone can do that in that situation, why can't any of us? We should all be able to do it. Okie dokie. So, if you have any questions, I'll kind of talk slow so you can shoot some questions on the reply. That's the basic content, but don't leave yet. There's previews for coming attractions. So that book, one of the books I was talking about, is called Great by Choice by Jim Collins. He uses the 20-mile march for the two teams I talked about on the South Pole expedition, and he uses that as kind of a way to interpret your success and be great by choice. It's an awesome book. And each time I do a session, I'm going to start with a quote, famous quote, and then I'm going to end with a book, but I have lots of books. Also, Jeff Clark has lots of books too, and everybody out there. Oh, hey, June's here. Hi, June. That'll be a delay, so a minute and a half, you'll respond to that. Anyways, Great by Choice by Jim Collins. So if you have any, oh, thanks, you, Ross. So that the Mankind's Search for Meaning, but he didn't type the author, which I still can't remember right now. Anyways, the book that I was talking about by the Holocaust survivor, it's called Search for Meaning. It's a really good book, and he wrote a bunch of books too, but it's an awesome. So what's up for next time? So next time, it's going to be what's in a word. I don't know if you know this, but in Greek, there's actually 7 different words for love. So we're just going to talk about that, not necessarily about love. I mean, although that will be an example, but we'll talk about the different meanings of words. We'll include tone, we'll include meaning, we'll include intent, and how all 3 of those go together in your communication. I'll probably also do a little thing on how I hate political correctness. I love all people, but I think once you're an adult, when you're having a conversation, and this goes back to responsibility and reaction too. Once you're an adult, you have to have allow for conversations to go different ways, and then just keep on. You should have a commitment to having true communication with the person that you're talking to. Anyway, so that's that. If you have any questions or comments, please send them to eocstudio@gmail.com. And I wanted to thank you all for attending. And basically, I guess I'll just sit here staring at the screen to see if anyone has any questions. I want to thank you. This was a lot easier than I thought it'd be in some ways. And obviously, I went extremely low tech. I'm using Restream, so I'll probably reach out to Rollis and go, hey, how do you really do this? Because I feel like there's some things I just didn't know how to do. So I want to thank everyone for showing up. Viktor Frankl. So Ross, thanks for coming through. So I will end with Viktor Frankl, who wrote Mankind's Search for Meaning, as well as other books. He was a Holocaust survivor, and so that's very impressive. Oh, I was going to mention the reason I have facial hair is because it's Movember, and a part of the silence that the moment of silence at the beginning was for my aunt who died of leukemia, and also one of my cousins died of leukemia before the age of 2. So I just wanted to give some meaning to them. So I want to thank you for coming, and yeah, hopefully more people show up. Not, I honor all of you for showing up, and thank you for my LinkedIn friends. See you next time. Peace out. Writing a thank you. All right, so I can't type and talk at the same time. Thank you. Now, how do I stop? Oh my God. Oh crap. All right.